And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that short break as we have returned with a qualifying match with a best of 5 winner of this series will advance on into the closed qualifier. And who will be one of our first to make it through here for the European region? We're here to find out. As spawning in the top left hand corner of Golden Aura, we have our Polish Zerg player, the red Zerg representing Platinum Esports. It is Aristori. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the French Protoss player representing Red Pack Esports. It is Rom. And I'll be honest, we have had the luxury of casting a lot of Aristori recently because we have been covering a lot of Polish only tournaments, events like the House Open Cups, events like the Infolet monthly tournaments as well. Not just that, but other online events in general that Aristori has been taking part in. Rom, unfortunately, here on the CranKy Ducklings, I don't think we've ever had the luxury of casting him. I don't think we've ever featured him in the past, so I'm ready to be introduced. I'm excited because Rom has made it already this far in the tournament, which I'm definitely impressed by. So we'll see how much further we can go. I'm here for it. I am ready for it. Again, for Rom to make it this far is impressive in its own right. It's already a big accomplishment for him. To make it this far, he took down Rostok, a very active Ukrainian Protoss player. So very impressive so far, but can he go even further than that? Can he take down Aristori? I'm going to be favoring Aristori at least a little bit in this series, but that may just be because I'm a little bit more familiar with him as a player. So I'm ready for some Rom. I'm ready to be introduced. Gibbs, man, Gibbs. Here we go. Meanwhile, when it comes to the rest of the bracket, for the most part, most qualifying matches are underway. It's possible that after this series, you might be able to catch another qualifying match. It is possible, maybe even the Fiance series, just because Fiance match is taking a very, very long time. But I won't hold my breath, especially because I've been struggling a little bit. I've been coughing up quite a lot. And if I want to cast the Americas qualifier, then I may need to get some rest after this. We'll see. We'll see what happens. For now, though, Hatchcast pull into a third base, into our spawning or into link speed. Nothing too crazy so far out of Aristori. Everything looking as it should. Meanwhile, Rome across the map, getting into his own gate expand, getting into his own Stargate opener. Pretty standard stuff so far between both players. Again, my eyes are mainly on Rum. When it comes to Aristori as a player, he's very mid-game oriented. Very much so mid-game oriented. Sorry, I'm just clearing myself up. Oh, good as the depths, they do shade in towards that natural base. Not too bad getting 2 drones so far. As we do catch one of the adepts, link speed kicks in as well, and the other adept is going to be hunted down. This suddenly doesn't make it worth it. 2 adepts for 2 drones. Ideally, we wanted to trade a little bit better than that, as both adepts do get shut down, and the third base is going to be that much more vulnerable. Lings are moving out. Behind this, Aristori is droning. What I was just getting at is that Aristori, he is very mid-game oriented. Whether it's Lingbane Roach Ravager or Ling Hydra, Aristori is quite fond of both compositions in the mid-game, and that's where he does thrive. When it comes to Rom, again, I mentioned before that I'm a little bit unfamiliar with him, so I'm excited to see what he brings to the table as Lings. They slip in! No, they do slip into the main base. We get confirmation of the triple Oracle opener. No surprise, this is a pretty standard build. As a follow-up, this should lead into a Forge and a Twilight Council into +1 and Blink, but we'll see if we do embrace Blink or if we go into Charge instead, or even another playstyle. Or even another playstyle. As Oracles, they are getting across the map. Well, they do threaten that third base. Getting a couple of drones, not bad. 2, 3, almost a 4th drone. Just 3 for now. Good damage dealt here by those Oracles. Has to get the hell out of there. Third base getting up and running. Rome sending out a couple of adepts here on the right hand side. making his way towards that third. Making his way towards that third base. Does shade in, does commit. Ooh, and do we have any links to defend? We do not, by the way. 0 links out for Aristori. 3 drones go down. Even getting a 4th drone at the very end. Very nice damage dealt here by Rom. And again, Aristori, his greed is getting punished. Now we make a handful of links, but it's too little too late at this point. Damage was done. And there's that follow-up. It is a +1 and blink on the way, as we mentioned before. Very standard follow-up here out of Rom. And he's going for a tech-heavy style. Instead of going for a gateway explosion, that's a Bay. We have a Bay on the way. That's going to be for Colossus production. It's going to be for most likely a second Robo as well. I'm going to be building up and getting up to 4 bases. So nothing too crazy here from Rom. It's on Aristori to recognize what's going on. Basically, as a Zerg player, once you realize how tech-heavy the Protoss player is being, once you realize that they're taking up in such a direction like Robotics Bay, you want to be throwing down your infestation pit. You want to be droning up to 4 bases, getting a 5th base, getting into an infestation pit, hive tech. Vipers are going to be your best friend, and you do need those Vipers as soon as possible. Whether it's Colossus, whether it's Disruptors, Vipers will help you against all things Protoss from that Robo. For now, though, Aristori staying on a mid-game army, staying on Lair Tech. Looking towards roach speed, of course, +1. Working towards +1 here. And yeah, we'll see how things settle down. There we go. Finally, I was just waiting for the tech of Aristori. There is the hydrogen on the way. There's the infestation pit as well. Again, this is kind of what I was waiting for. So we are taking up towards Hydras and Vipers. We're heading in that direction. Now, this tech is a little bit later than we would have liked to have seen. So there is going to be maybe a window where Rom can move out before the Zerg player is ready. We'll see if that's going to be the case. As Lings attempt to hit that 4th. They attempted the 4th base. Likewise, though, Rom is in position, does protect that 4th, does get into his Colossus production, and will be looking poised to hold on to his bases. A really solid defensive setup. We have a full wall off here at the 3rd, the armies at the 4th. Colossi spread out. And upon confirming this, Aristori should just be being greedy. 5th base is on the way. This 5th could have been a little bit earlier, 100%. We do have the Lurker Den finishing up, upgrades on the way, a Hive Tech finishing up as well. Again, basically, because the Protoss player is teching and because the Protoss is turtling up on 4 bases, the Zerg can't really break this. The Zerg can't really break this 4th or this 3rd, so there's no reason to build up an army. There's plenty of reason, though, to tech up even further and then focus on your army production instead. And there it is, 3 Vipers are on the way, just as Rom is being active. So by the time Rom moves out, these Vipers should barely be full of energy. Especially as Rom is not pushing, by the way. He's taking up and he's expanding, getting into a 5th base. Interesting. Slow and steady play here out of Rom. Now it's moving out, runs into the army. Where the Vipers... There they are, the Vipers are gathering up that energy as we speak. Again, finishing up just in time. Now, to help counteract these Vipers, we do have High Templar. High Templar, they have feedbacks available, so they can feedback the Vipers. Likewise, Storm is also done. So we have a dance. We have a back and forth here between the Vipers and the High Templar of Aristori and Rom. Speaking of, Vipers are moving out. They get caught. Oh my god. Viper's getting very low. We go for the yoink. We get one, we get two, we get three. All three Colossi get yoinked, but only two of them go down. Clutch moves there out of Rome. Does save that Colossus. Does save most of his High Templar as well. Has a Storm available. Has two. Has two Storms available here. Yeah, as Rome, he is pushing in. He's getting into the Viper. Does snipe it. Big snipe there out of Rome. Gets the Viper, and we spoke about the tech. We spoke about the tech. We spoke about the Hydras, the Lurkers. Where are they? Where's the Lurker tech? Where's the Hydra tech? It's not here. Just not ready in time. Again, all we needed was a handful of Lurkers, and then maybe we can survive. Rome is breaking through. Reinforcements are coming in. Aristori barely trying to hold on, but a big storm on the links. Oh my god. Massive storm on the army, and Rome has done it. Rome has broken the back here of Aristori, taking out every single Viper, and not allowed a single Lurker to get up and running. Aristori, he needed a little bit more time, and he just doesn't have it. Doesn't have that time. Rome is going to be pulling back, but I mean, he killed the base. Killed the hatchery. From here, he can just back off, wait for another warp in, rotate over, and deny some of these other fringe bases. Rome doesn't have to go back home, but he is. Oh, I'm not too fond of this. So Rome, he turns around, he goes all the way back home, checking his vision. Rome, he has seen both of these bases, he knows. But because he backs off, Lurkers are on the way. And this changes everything. These Lurkers, they will finish, by the way. And Rome, he's going to Sky Toss. No, we're in for a long one. We're in for a long game. Rome, instead of pushing out, instead of denying another base, we're taking up into Sky Toss instead. We're in for a long one. Settle yourselves in, strap yourselves in for a long ZvP, because if Rome doesn't go into kill, then Aristori is going to be able to stabilize. Yeah, we do have a Zealot drop into the main. Zealot drop into the main base. Archon's doing what they can. We get 5 drone kills. At the same time, the main army does get on top of some of these Lurkers. And 3 Lurkers do go down. The other 2 will hold the line. As the Zealot drop in the main base is being cleaned up, Hydras have finally hit the field. I mean, Lurkers as well. We are holding. We are surviving. Now, as Aristori is barely holding on with his Hydra Lurker Viper tech, Aristori were already working on the next step. Not even wasting time with carriers. He's got Tempest on the way. Oh my god. Rome just being as efficient as possible. Trying to claim another 6th base. So far as being denied. Very important here that Aristori does this. Deny these fringe bases. Tempests are amassing as we speak. Aristori trying to get the gold. Aristori is headed for that gold base. Lurkers have amassed. We can still catch this army out. Show Synovas. Main army gets turned away. Nice feedback here on the Viper. Novas go up. Take down one of those Lurkers. Second Lurker falls. Not much of a buffer here. The Lurkers are exposed, and we do get on top of them. So many Lurkers going to be going down. Yeah, Rome getting a massive trade here. A very nice fight there for Rome. And now the Tempests have arrived. The Sky Toss is here. Aristori, yes, he does have a Spire. He's working towards Corruptors. But he has 0/0 corruptors, no upgrades whatsoever. Ducklings will get on top of some of these disruptors. We are buying time. But again, Romi's backing off, he's refining his army, he's expanding, taking a 6th base. That's all that does matter for Rom. Rom does not have to overextend. Again, Rom, he can take it easy. He can just chill back at home, lay back, get into his Tempest production, his carrier production, refine his army, invest into stack defense. Rom can just kick up his feet and just chill. Meanwhile, Aristori is desperately trying to survive, taking on it even further. Broodlords are on the way. We're done with Lurkers. Getting into Skyzerg, Broodlord, Corruptor, Infestor, Viper is all we need. We're getting there. But Aristori doesn't have the best economy. He's on 70 drones. Has arguably a worse, I would say a worse economy here compared to Rome. I mean, he does have the gold at least, that does help. Rome is pushing. We're down to 3 Lurkers? Oh. 3 Lurkers, 7 Broodlords. Yeah, Aristori, he's ignoring the main army. This base should be going down. The Corruptor was spotted, which means even though Rome, he never saw bottom left, he's checking. Yeah, he does check. Will shut it down. The base is gonna fall. We arguably have too many mortals. Oh, yeah, too many mortals here for Rome. A massive mortal-based army is ideal against Lurkers, but because Aristori is working out of Lurkers into Broodlords, these immortals, they have less value. They do have less value now. As Rome is rotating around, looking for another way in. You can see Aristori killing his own Ravagers just to make room. Making room for more Corruptors. Here we go, we are pushing in. Big storm here on the Broodlords. Not a bad start, but the army is being bullied back. Probes are going down throughout all of this. This small ground army wreaking havoc. 16 drones go down. Very nicely done there. And Aristori, his economy is in trouble. Rom, he's maxed out. Now, Aristori, he has gone for a super maxed army. This is typically inadvisable. It's very much so like a last-ditch effort here for Aristori. Just padding himself out. So we'll try to collapse on this. We'll get one of those carriers. We'll get 2. Not bad. 2 carriers go down. These Corruptors, there's quite a lot of them. They're breaking through. Where are the Archons? Archons, they're late to respond. Their Corruptors, they do well for themselves. Ooh, across the map, the Soldiers, they take down a base. Aye. 2 bases go down in the blink of an eye. Aristori gets knocked down to a 4-base setup. Barely a 4-base setup. Again, this is where we would like to see less Immortals, even killing some of our own Immortals to get into Void Ray production, more Tempest, more Archons, Blink Stalkers, anything else. As we lost every single Corruptor. Sorry, I keep saying Corruptor. We lost every single Carrier is what I meant to say. The Carrier count was reset. Aristori, he can still somehow pull this off. I mean, we're going for a base trade, essentially. We are going for a base trade. These fringe bases are going to be going down. Aristori turns back around. He's coming back home. He's racing back home. Show us the neural. Show us the fungals even. Yeah, the chain fungal in the army. The Immortals, they get another kill on another hatchery. Hatchery is going to be falling. Aristori down to 3 bases. Barely a 3-base economy here as he's long distance mining from another base. No. And despite this chaotic fight here from Rom, it looks like he should still have enough. And I say that, the Corruptors are making a beeline for those carriers. Sorry, for this Tempest. Yeah, they're going right for them. They get one. Yeah, they get a second, and it looks like they should be getting a third. Again, the Mass Corruptor had its place. That means the Broodlords, they can push in. Now we have the Mothership on the way. Oh. But yeah, Rom, he's still on 79 workers. He's still on 70 bases. Like, even though Aristori did kill all the carriers, honestly, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter at this point. Aristori does not have an economy, not anymore. And Rom has remaxed. And he's pushing out again. Now we get Lurker Harass one stop right, which is nice from Aristori. He is dragging away the attention of the army. Interesting. Home was forced back for a moment, but again, he should be able to move out without much reason to be concerned. He always has a recall. He hasn't used it. Rome, you can always recall back home. You can always recall to his main army. Oh, nice fungal these Stalkers. Can bring some of them down. The armies are clashing as recall just gets used. Rami goes straight for bottom left and he will get a kill. Yeah, the base is going to be going down. It's just a slow systematic choke out here of Aristori as he just barely has any economy, barely any mining. He's got what, 3/4 of a base here. Nothing in the natural, nothing in the main base. The third, it's non-existent. And again, despite the, I would say the mid-game being pretty neutral, we saw that Rome was able to strike first and strike hard. Remember, the first mid-out from Rome was just before Aristori. Even though he had a Lurker Den, he did have a Lurker Den. But no lurkers. 0 lurkers were available. Aristori could not slow down the tide. Tide of Rome. From here, I'm pretty sure Rome is just throwing away Immortals. He knows he doesn't need them anymore. Where he no longer needs them. Nice fungal here on these Void Rays. As it looks like Aristori is going for one final fight, does land a good fungal. Again, like, the use and the control of his main army has always been really good here for Aristori, but the reality is that he just is macro, or his economy behind it, is suffering, has been suffering the entire game. That leads to a position like this where Rum has a bank to work with, so we can remax and remax again and again and again. Aristori cannot, and isn't going to, not here in this series. I mean, he needs a miracle here to recover. We mentioned it before, but basically we're hoping for some kind of harassment, like these Lings and Hydras to find a base, to cripple the economy. With all these cannons and shield batteries, it's difficult. And yeah, there it is. GG gets called. Rum will take game number 1. Whew. GG. Impressive. Very impressive. Very impressive there by Rum. We mentioned before that, honestly, when it came to the first push from Rum, like, he was looking poised to win the entire thing. And he backed off. He went into Sky Toss instead. Slow and steady there by Rum, just to make sure that he had a secure win initially. And he does take it. Does take game 1. But we have a series. We have a series on our hands here. I want to believe we can bounce back. As we're getting into game número 2. Here we go. So now we're settling on in and spawning in the bottom left hand corner of Amphion. We have our Polish Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Platinum Esports. Can he bounce back? Can he fight back in this series? I want to believe he can. The pressure is on. It is Aristori. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the French Protoss player, the blue Protoss, representing Red Pack Esports. It is Rum. Okay. And again, I don't think game 1 really told us too much about our players. I mean, Rum did go for a very passive style. If you remember, he went into a 3rd base, went into Robo Colossus production in towards a 4th, and then moved out with the Death Bull of an army. And remember, he hit just before Aristori had lurkers. Like Aristori, he had the lurker den, he had the hive, he had lurker upgrades on the way. He needed a little bit more time, or it's one of two things. I would say that either Aristori needed a little bit more time to get into lurkers, or he should have made hydras and lurkers earlier on, because if you remember, he was making lurker upgrades, but he had no hydras to morph into lurkers. So again, maybe Aristori being a little bit too greedy or cutting too many corners instead of respecting the move out of Rum. And because we didn't have lurkers out in time, I mean, that was kind of game where Rum snowballed out of control. He was able to break through the defensive line and have a lead and maintain that lead from there. But now we're settling into game 2, onto one of the newer maps. Amphion LE is here, and it's an interesting map to say the least. Standard natural base location, a linear 3rd base location as well, but there are minerals. You can mine through these minerals to gain access to a shorter rush distance by ground towards your opponents, but you also have to mine through the minerals on the other side or knock down the rocks on the other side as well. So yeah, there's a bit of a give and take here. In general, if you do mine through these mineral patches, you can gain access to a very safe base location. We've seen a lot of Protoss. We've seen a lot of Protoss players take this triangular 3rd as their 3rd. So that is what we are, or that is what I'm at least expecting, but we'll see if Rum does embrace that. Behind this 3rd base is being taken. Yo, a shout out to Snogstar in the chat. Let's go. Polska, go Aristori. Ah, let's go. I mean, again, I want to believe we can get a back and forth here, and again, even though that last game, Rum was in control for a very long time there, a lot of it did come down to his timing, did come down to his push, and I want to believe that we can bounce back and that Aristori can, again, adjust to his opponent and be ready for him. As the Neps, they do push forward, they do get the tumor. Tumor goes down. Not a bad start. Interesting, as a follow-up, that is not an Oracle opener, that is a Void Ray. Okay, Rom is spicing things up. Now with a Void Ray opener, the power of this kind of build from the Protoss is that you're hunting down Overlords. The goal of this build is to hunt down Overlords, is to keep the Zerg player in the dark as to what comes next. It could be a standard build. It could be a third base into Oracle, into +1 Blink Stalkers. Or we could be seeing a fast Twilight Council into Glaive Adepts without a Forge, into something more aggressive, and again, Aristori would not know what was going on. And there it is, there's a Twilight Council. As the third base is being taken, a very fast Twilight Council. Forge is on the way though, never mind. I was gonna make the assumption, oh, as Lings they get in! No shot, Lings, they do somehow slip in. We get a full scout of the main base, we get eyes on the Forge and on the Twilight Council on the Forge. And I'm curious if this is gonna be for charge. +1 in charge or +1 in blink. Which direction do we take? Gases are now on the way. And it is gonna be +1 and charge. Now, because this tech started so early, this should be in the back of Aristori's mind. He should be realizing, hold up, something is wrong here. Why do we already have upgrades on the way? Why do we already have tech here? Something doesn't line up. And we're going for a lair first. Okay. Now with this faster lair, this does mean that the Roach Warren is delayed. There is no Roach Warren right now for Aristori, which means this could be Ling Hydra. Doesn't have to be. And there we go. Safety Roach Warren thankfully is on the way, but we could have gone right into it. We could have skipped it, could have gone right into the Roach Warren, sorry, into the Hydra Den instead. But the Roach Warren has been thrown down. And once again, we're going to be settling in towards the mid game. These Adepts are getting a lot done, getting 5 drone kills. 6 drones, oh my god, 6 workers go down. The Lings, alas, they were not here to defend. Stasis traps goes off as well. 6 drones and 4 workers get caught in the stasis. Very nice damage dealt here by Brom. I called him Rob earlier. It's 5 AM. It's all bleeding together, Papi. Aye. I do miss Rob though. Those who don't know, he's the American Protoss. Rob, aka Robbie. Here we go. Rob threatening a move out. Again, the Prism is done. Charge has completed. We are +1. Looks like we're expanding behind this, taking a 4th. But this push can be brutal, especially if we don't have any roaches. And what is our army looking like? We have 0 roaches, 0 banelings. Ooh, if we did commit with this, this could get a lot of damage done. Aristori, he's in a bit of trouble right now. Is trying to expand, is trying to take another base. 4th and 5th on the way. But the Zealots, they do get into the main base. They get a kill on the Queen. They do get the kill. Meanwhile, Rom didn't commit with his main army. He pulled back. We could have applied pressure. I feel like we could have dealt some damage here. Spire is done. I was talking about the potential Hydra Den, but alas, this time we skip out on roaches. We go for the Spire instead. Mutas are on the way. It's a really risky move here out of Aristori, but he's successfully building up these mutas. And what is the anti-air? Archons. Now, Archons, they aren't bad anti-air, but the problem here is that Archons are very immobile, and keeping up with a mass mutaflock is difficult. Here we go, as the mutaflock does threaten a move out. Does threaten a move out. Oh, the Prism gets called. We do collapse here on top of the Archon. Very nicely done. We get a Prism, we get 2 Archons. Mutas, they head towards the main base, forcing a defensive warp in. At the same time, the main army pushing out across the map. Mutas, they come across these stalkers. No shield battery in the main base, by the way. But at the same time, there's no stopping the main army. Ling run back comes in. The wall's not a wall. The wall is wide open. Lings, they flood into the natural. Mutas, they're still wreaking havoc in the main base as well. Probes are going down. Oh. And who does this favor? That is the question. Now, Aristori does have quite a large mutaflock to work with. Looking at the units tab, 15 mutants in total, and there is no answer. We need Blink. Will Blink finish? That's the question. Looks like it will. Yeah, the mutants are going to be backing off. We collapse here on the 4th. Fourth base gets surrounded. It's going to be shut down. At the same time, though, we are losing a lot of drones, and we even came in the production. Oh. The Zealot Archon army has done so well for itself. Destroying one base, getting another. We do get a good amount of them. And Aristori is down to 2 bases. He's down to a 2-base setup here, but he does retain most of his drones. That's the weird thing. Aristori, he's on 74 workers, but he's mining from 2 bases. Ay, ay, ay. From here, Aristori does dip in between the bases, heads towards the 3rd base. Oh, wreaking havoc, killing so many probes. And again, this is the power of mass muta. Even with Phoenixes, it's so difficult to deal with as the Phoenixes, they're going down. Big cash there from Aristori. Is bleeding out some of these mutas, but they have already paid for themselves. They have done more than enough. With that, a handful of mutas are going to be racing back home. Rome, he's moving out with his army. Ooh, as we catch out more mutas. But honestly, Rom is pretty all in. He's pretty all in right now, and we are amassing Baneleys and Ravagers just in time. If it was only Ling, Roach, Muta, then Aristori would have been in some trouble, but Baneleys, they finish up just in time. They do crash in. Oh, so far, good splits out of Rom. He is pushing in, but the kiting is a little bit too good. We focus down 2 of those Archons. A 3rd Archon goes down. We're down to 1. We're down to 1 Archon remaining. It gets focused down. And this is it. This is all we have left. 2 Immortals and 4 Stalkers. Reinforcements are on the way. Again, we do have units coming in from every single angle. Aristori setting up a surround essentially with what little he has. And it is going to be enough. To clean this up. GG gets called, and Aristori, he fights back. He puts a point on the board. GG. GG, well played. A solid game there out of Aristori. Again, things were looking a little bit scary for him, but once he got into his mutas, once the mutas got unscouted, then he was able to get so much value with them. He's able to trade so well, and in the end forced the all-in. Was able to survive it. You could definitely argue that Rome could have been more active earlier, could have been more assertive earlier, 100%, but alas. Did choose not to. And now we're getting into game number 3. We're tied up 1-1. We're tied up here. We have a tied series. Who will take a lead though? Who will take a 2-1 lead? Will it be our Protoss or our Zerg? We have yet to determine. Oh, let's go. We have some Aristori subs in the chat. Ga, papi, ga. Dzień dobry. Let's go. Do have some Aristori supporters. And hey, I mean, we do have a tied up series. But who will take a lead? As we're getting into game 3 on Oceanborn. It looks like we may have lost someone, as it's taking a little bit longer to load in. It's taking a little bit longer. But hopefully we're all okay, and hopefully we haven't lost anyone. Fingers crossed. If we have, we can always remake. Hopefully we haven't been lost. That's what I'm most concerned about. Here we go. Meanwhile, I believe we have some other updates coming in. Do we have any qualified players? I think maybe Snockstar. I know we played a series against Mixu. Ooh, went all the way to the A smash, but it looks like Mixu has qualified for the closed qualifier. Did barely bring Snockstar down. Likewise, Middle VK takes down Arch 3-0. Very impressive. I would have favored Art in this series against Mindle. Big win there by Middle VK. Meanwhile, we have Uwe Thermal versus Babas. Babas, a Swedish player. Let's go. And mid-series, we have Exo Striker versus Rodzin, as Exo Striker took down Shameless 2-0. Hamey still waiting for the winner of Fiance and Power. And Nikic did take down Uidi Soldier 3-0. Congratulations to Nikic as he advances on into the quarterfinals or into the closed qualifier. So a lot of big results coming in. A lot of big matches. And based on this loading screen, I think we've lost someone. Feels bad, man. Yeah, there it is. Looks like we did end up losing Rum there, but we should be able to remake and should be able to bring it back in. Yes, it's okay. Is okay. Just gonna be remaking. For those that are curious how that works, if you're loading in to a game and if you end up disconnecting or if you lag out, the game itself waits for you to time out of the game before going to the score screen like that. So that's why you were stuck. We were stuck on that loading screen because we were just waiting for the timeout for the player. Just waiting for it there. But there we go. Looks like Rummy's back. He's back online. Going to be joining us soon. And we can get back into this. Thankfully. But again, hope everyone else has been enjoying themselves. Hope everyone has been having a good time. As a reminder, regardless of who wins and loses here, if you have a favorite player that does lose, they will have another chance tomorrow. They will have a second life, a second chance. Am I crazy? Where's Trifax? Did I miss him on the bracket? Yeah, Trifax was not a part of the bracket. Was he invited? No shot. Was he invited? He was not invited into the closed qualifier. Okay. So yeah, that's a little bit interesting. It's a shame if he's not taking part of these qualifiers, but regardless, here we go. We're diving into game number 3 as we're tied up 1-1. We're diving in to determine who takes the lead in the series. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our Polish Zerg player, the red Zerg representing Platinum Esports. It is Aristori. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the French Protoss, the blue Protoss player representing Red Pack Esports. It is Rum. Here we go. Okay, so we have seen Aristori mix things up a little bit here. Remember, in game 1, he did try to go into the mid game and rush into Lurker Tech unsuccessfully. We've tried to rush into Lurker Tech. In game number 2, we saw Aristori sneak out of Spire and go into Mass Muta with a lot more success, kind of turning the tables in his opponent and really punishing Rom for not being able to scout and confirm that it was Blink, that it was Mutas on the way. As a result, Blink was delayed, no shield batteries, and site defense was delayed. In general, Rom was unawares and unprepared. But now we're getting into game number 3, and how will things change? How will things differ? How will our players adapt? Now we do see just a gate expand into Cybercore standard opener here out of Rum. Likewise across the map, Aristori getting into his hatch gas pool. Nothing too crazy, nothing too out of the norm. Also, because I've been struggling here in this series, 100%. This will be our last series here of the... I mean, this is a qualifying match anyway, but even if there's another series that's ongoing after this, we will wrap up after this qualifying match. Because I do need to rest and try to make sure that I don't get any worse. But for now, Depth is going to be threading a shade, dancing across the map, dancing with the army. The back and forth has begun. Let's go. Here, Rome is going to pull back. And Aristori is still just happily droning on up. We're getting to our take of choice. Once again, it's going to be a Stargate opener here from Rome. It is going to be Stargate into Oracle. Last game, we had a Void Ray opener, if you remember, which was able to hide the... Oh, my apologies. Was unable to hide the tech choice, was unable to hide the transition, and unable to scout the follow-up either. So it makes sense here for Rum to just throw that Void Ray opener to the side and embrace a much more standard opener instead. As Epsay shade into the main base, to let Epsay get targeted down. Very nicely done. Very nicely done here. So we minimize our losses. We do set up here on 3 bases. Behind this, Rondo is investing into his oracles. With oracles, anything can happen. Ooh, Aristori going for a very fast lair, by the way. That is a 4-minute lair timing. Got my attention. With a lair this early on, I'm feeling potentially Nidus play. Do you have an Overlord poised to go into the main? Curious. If it was Drop Lords, we would have already seen Overlord speed. We should have already seen Overlord speed. Yeah, Lings and Queens are massing. It feels like Ling Queen Nidus all in. I'm feeling the Nidus all in, but we'll see how this all comes together. As Oracles have yet to dive in. Rom still hasn't scouted, by the way. We need to. Desperately need to come back in and get a scout of what's going on. He doesn't see the lair. No! The Oracles, they dip in towards the 3rd base, but they don't check the main. They don't check the main base. Lair is done. There's the Nidus on the way. So it is the Ling Queen Nidus all in, as we did mention. The Oracles, they recall back home. Lings are harassing. Good damage dealt so far. Ling's just keeping the Protoss pinned back at home. But here come those Nidus worms. And are we going to be ready for this? Void Ray's on the way. That does help. Rom, I'm sure, does see, yeah, the Nidus Worm is going to be focusing it down. As it's happening, Lings, they hit the third. A good stasis trap. Very nicely done. Stasis is going to be buying a lot of time here. But the Nidus does finish Queens. They get into the main base. They do bust into the main. We deny mining here in the mineral line. More lanes are filing in. And yeah, like this Nidus Worm, because it was unscattered, because it was able to get up and running here, we should be able to transfuse. We keep all these queens alive. Lings are flooding in. We do have a safe strap behind this. Do have potentially an overcharge as well. Shield battery is targeted, and yeah, we have broken this position. There's no saving it. There's no saving this main. And 2 base versus 3 base is never ideal for the Protoss. And again, we do see Aristori just securely making sure he gets a kill on the Nexus just before anything else happens. Gets the Nexus, goes for the Twilight Council, goes for the Stargate. The Nidus finishes, and now we can just leapfrog over towards another base. Not like this. Nice sniper on the Nidus Worm. Good cleanup here from Rom. For the most part. As from here, we do see Rom trying to stabilize on 2 bases. I mean, we're throwing down gateways, throwing down pylons. Rom was supply blocked. But the reality is that we're losing so much tech, and behind this, Aristori's droning. He's saturating on 3 bases. He's getting a 4th base up and running. Aristori looking perfectly safe and perfectly sound behind this. Rom is anything but. There we go. Hydra speed now on the way for eventually Hydra production, for eventually Lurker production. Rom is moving out. I almost called him Tom. Right. Oh no. It's all getting to me. Romy rotates around. It looks like he will be able to cancel. Yeah, it does force a cancel. Does deny the 4th. Does deny the base. We'll be rotating around. I mean, denying the 4th is nice. Don't get me wrong. It is nice here. I think Hydra has amassed. We still are denying any kind of bases being taken here in the main. Oh, the Nidus does finish Hydras. They're popping out, and with their range, they can't deny mining here. At the same time, though, Rom doing something very similar. He was doing something very similar with his own lurkers. As the Nidus ones, they just keep on finishing up. On the army getting here. Should be back to hell up. And can the game settle from here? It could settle. I'm hoping that it doesn't. I mean, Aristori, we gotta go. We gotta go sooner rather than later. We have to pull the trigger. Do you see him attempt to collapse up the army? It's a good amount of those. It's a good amount of those units. We're still trying to clean up all those active tumors. There's still 2 more here on the right-hand side. There's just so much creep. Again, it's just making it so awkward to maneuver. The wall is not a wall. Lings, they're flooding in. As the main army distracts these stalkers, we have Lings pushing in towards that natural. That is a lot of stalkers. Bear that in mind. Colossus comes out. Aristori, are we overextending? We go back off before the Colossi really impact the game. Aristori gonna be pulling back. And this is concerning. We're in for a longer game. The reason why I say this, Aristori, he did a lot of good damage, but this infestation bit's late. And now that we've gotten into Colossus production, there's no pushing in without the infestation, but without the hive tech, without Vipers. As a result, we've survived. We've weathered the storm. We made it through the worst of it. And we're stabilizing on 4 bases. For now, we're on 3, but eventually we'll take a 4th. And Nidus gets shut down. And Rome is still very much so in this. Nidus worms are continuing, but I mean, what are we really getting here? We can maybe disrupt the production, maybe slow down the tech. As the Nidus does finish, but we dive on top of it almost immediately. And getting a couple of stalkers before just evacuating. And there it is, finally. Hive tech's on the way, Lurker tech's on the way, Hydro Lurker Viper is going to be on the horizon for Aristori. Now again, because Infestation Bit's so late, this transition is very late, and again, I should say Rome could catch out the army, could get a really good fight, and continue from there. Fun fact, I grabbed for my mic to get a drink of water. God. I'm losing it, Bobby. I'm losing it. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I do appreciate that we're continuing Nidus Swarms across the map, but this move out here from Rum is not looking too bad at all. Where are the Lurkers? Not again. Where are the Lunkers, puppy? It's pure Hydra? Now we have 2 Lurkers on the way, but these Lurkers are so late. And it's only 2. It's only 2 Lurkers. We deny the base. 12 drones going to be going down. The hatchery as well. Rom could keep pushing 100%, but he backs off. Turns back around, he backs off. Aris is gonna get shut down. We do see a couple of those gas guys is finishing up. But again, this army here from Rome without spellcasters, without Vipers, and I want to favor the Protoss. With spellcasters, I want to favor Aristori. I mean, it still comes down to the execution, to the angle of the yoink, the angle of the deduction. Making sure we don't waste it. Here we go. The Lurkers, they have been amassing. How many Lurkers do we have? 8. 8 Lurkers. Good feedbacks here on the Hydras. Good Storms as well. Also good feedbacks on the Vipers. Storms are good on the Hydras. Aristori going for a Ling run by. Does attempt that Ling run by, but we do have a full wall. Rami's going to be able to defend back at home without losing too much. Likewise, Nidus on the way. Nidus does finish! And the Lurkers, they have made it. It does force a recall. Does force a recall back home. Lurker's going to be going down, and Nidus Swarm gets shut down as well. And Rome was able to snipe a base. Oh, and a Viper as well. 13 drones. Rome he's denying bases. He just killed the center base. He just denied top right. Aristori is hurting. Economically, Aristori, he is hurting right now. As we rotate around, we ignore these lurkers. We leave them be. We head towards the base. Another hatchery will go down. We have an immortal in the main. And yeah, from here, Aristori, it's been slipping away. It's been slipping through Aristori's hands, and now Rome is looking poised here. He's in a good position. Now, thankfully for Aristori, there's no Skytoss, right? Like, if there was a carrier on the way, if there was like a mothership on the way, I would be concerned, but there is no Skytoss yet. So pure Hydra Lurker Viper, this composition can carry you here in this matchup. As long as the opponent doesn't really embrace Skytoss, then we're okay. Okay. Airstream moving out does catch a couple of free units. Couple. Army's going to be clashing. I just pushing forward. The lurker count is looking solid. Now, because the lurker count is so much higher nowadays, I would be concerned here for Rome, and I would want to see a higher lurker, sorry, a higher immortal army instead. And then in some of these previous games, we have been a little bit harsh here about how heavily we've been investing into immortals, but immortals, they can work wonders. Meanwhile, Celeron gets 29 drones across the map, almost gets a kill on the hatchery, and will get another kill on this hatchery as well. Ay. Lurkers are breaking through. We pick up High Templar. We yoink one of those one of those Colossi. And Rom, he collapses on the army, and Klum, he has recovered. I'm so impressed here as Rom weathered the storm, makes use of it himself, collapses on the army, and Aristori has nothing left. GG gets called, and Rom takes a lead in the series 2-1. GG. Very impressive stuff. I do apologize if there was a lot of like muted time there, just because I was constantly muting and constantly like clearing my throat and blowing my nose and coughing. So I do apologize. But yeah, that was a very impressive game. Winding it back if you weren't here for it, winding it back a little bit if you weren't here for it, Aristori was attempting to, or did initially go for a Link Queen Night Assault in that was quite successful. Did do a lot of damage in the main base, to kill a lot of probes in general, and did attempt to transition out of it into a more mid-game standard-oriented game. From my understanding, though, that transition was a little bit abrupt, and I mean, it wasn't ideal there. We saw that Aristori, his infestation ball was very late. His transition to Hydras, into his hive, and into his lurkers was very delayed as well. Aristori was maybe just a little bit too tunnel visioned, and Rom was able to recover. Despite losing so much, Rom, just a cool, calm, and collected head, like any other game. And Rom, he was able to just stabilize, able to turtle up, able to defend, able to eventually get into a better position. And with that, Rom, one more is all he needs. Here we go. Now we're getting into our next game, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkion, and we have our Polish Zerg player, the red Zerg representing Platinum Esports, down in this series. He has to fight back here and now to force the ace match. It is Aristori. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the French Protoss player, the blue Protoss representing Red Pack Esports, one game away from qualifying for the closed qualifier of EPT Spring of the European Regionals. It is Rome. CD32 when? Ah, not like this. What is CD32? I know it's a tournament. It's God, my brain isn't working right now. Plug yourself in the chat. Hyper One, plug yourself. Oh. Yes, we are on a delay. Why he keeps saying macro versus Protoss? My boy's trolling. I see Nidus, so I assume Link Queen Nidus earlier. Yes, it was Link Queen Nidus all in. And for those that weren't here for the start of game number of the previous game, Aristori went for a Link Queen Nidus all in. Did kill the main base, by the way. Killed the main base, got a lot of probe kills, but Rome was able to recover, able to turtle up and recover from there, which was impressive. Very impressive stuff there by Rome. Despite the fact that Aristori had such a nice lead from that moment. Despite the fact that Aristori was able to have a solid economy and even take up quite nicely as well. Was able to take up quite nicely. And so now, Hatchgas Pool, standard opener out of our Zerg player. Likewise, standard opener out of our Protoss as well. Who's begging to play 4 maps versus Sky Toss Operators? Oh, let's go. The dream, Poppy, the dream. The dream, as once again Stargate opener. We have yet to see a Twilight Council opener out of Rum. He just hasn't done it. He has mixed things up with Void Rays or with Oracles with this kind of opener, but that's really the most amount of deviation we've seen from Rum, at least so far today. Something that we have seen is his tenacity, especially in that last game, to just weather the storm, to just stick in it, stick with it, despite how bleak things are looking. And turn things back around. Again, very impressive stuff. Let's see. We'll see how things will differ here in game number 4. Again, Rom needs one more. Meanwhile, I'm hoping for an ace match. I mean, my body isn't, but my heart is. I'm just hoping for an ace match, hoping for a game 3. There we go. Third base is being taken. Oracles are on the way. So far, so good. Ooh, as that is a fast Roach Warren. That is a 4-minute, sub 4-minute Roach Warren here from Aristori. Considering the fact that this was not a Twilight Council opener, this was a Stargate opener, this Roach Warren should not be this early on. So I'm curious if we're going for an early Roach push. I feel like we are. Aristori Queens are getting in position. Lings are amassing as we speak. Spores are on the way. True. And we are setting up very defensively here on this 3-way setup. As the Oracles are rotating over towards the left-hand side. And again, we have not droned, by the way. More Lings, more Queens, and more Roaches. Oh, as I say that, after you my words, now we are droning at least a little bit towards the end. Did we make any Roaches? Oh, my apologies. I assumed we made Roaches. We are just droning, so it looks like Aristori was just playing very safely. A very safe play here out of Aristori, but this early Roach Warren, it means that, I mean, as we can see, we haven't made any Roaches. We haven't needed to. So it was a bit of wasted resources. Just to be safe. He's trying to keep up. And Ram is able to get into his own 3-base setup. Now, because it took a long time for Aristori to drone, and you can even see here, like, Aristori's droning is very haphazard. It's not very clean macro, very clean saturation from Aristori. Because of that, Aristori, he's able to happily get into his setup here on 3 bases, even work towards a 4th. Aristori's playing catch up. He's droning up as best he can. CD equals circle derping. Circle derping, and it's a FFA tournament where you fight for control of the middle of the map, and you die to 4 SkyToss players eventually. Oh, let's go. That sounds like a time. Lovely, Bobby, lovely. I haven't experienced that myself, but I don't think I want to. Oh no. I've experienced that in my dreams and my nightmares, Bobby. Aye. Stage trap goes off. Gonna be able to shave off some of those lings. Pull back towards the goal base. So far, good blinks here out of Rom. Death finally goes down. Oh, look at the trades. We finally killed an adept, and it's been 1 adept here for 19 lings and 1 overlord. Oh my, the efficiency, Bobby, the efficiency. Speaking of, more lings going down, but we do have a decent amount of roaches. You have a decent amount now. So let's be careful. Will we lose the sword? Oh my god, almost. Gasito, Bobby, gasito. As Aristori is getting a 4th, so is Rum. So Rum circling around. Likewise, at the same time, Zella drop into the main base. Adepts here towards the natural. Main army towards the 4th. Almost every base here on fire in some way. We're losing drones. The drones are going down. Zealots, they do walk all the way towards that natural. Gonna get 5 drones so far. We're getting the spawning pool. Spawning pool is falling, and we're pulling Aristori apart. I mean, Aristori still has a large army, but a lot of that supply is in roaches, and roaches, they are inflated supply. The soup can sometimes lie here, as we mainly have roaches. Meanwhile, back at home, Rom was working on a mainly Blink Stalker based army, but now we're getting into more Immortals. We have the Temple Archives on the way. That's going to be for Archon production. Rom is working towards a pretty good place. Snipe a couple of those overlords, blinking back, bleeding out a couple of stalkers. Ooh, shield battery isn't done, by the way. Aristori, he's maxing out. Now, Aristori doesn't have much of his economy. He's pretty all in. Aristori's pretty committed, pretty all in with this. Is moving out. We do have the overcharge. It is depowered though. Overcharge gets depowered. Roach Ravager breaking through the defensive line. No shield battery, no overcharge, and it looks like Aristori, he is breaking through this army. Regardless of the trades, regardless of the fact that Aristori is all in. It looks like he might have enough here. Yeah, he looks like he does. GG gets called. Aristori just hammering down that roach button. You can kill my drones, you can destroy my tech, but I don't even care because I'ma just make the roach. And I'ma just, hey, move, Bobby. GG, well played. We're going to the ace match. Whew, oh boy. I was concerned. I was concerned that it might have ended then and there. That Rome would be able to run away with it. But thankfully, we have that ace match. Regardless of how this goes, it's been a fun series. And how will it end? What map we're going to be loading into? Here we go. I'm just looking at the graphs here towards the end, where towards the end again, you know, the economy was in favor of the Protoss, the tech was in favor of the Protoss, but the feeling, Pappy, feeling is all we did need. Getting ready for that final game. Oh, it's gonna be on Ghost River. Uh-oh. Let's go. Ghost River is coming up next. The final game of the series. It all ends here. It all ends on Ghost River. Let's go. So I'm gonna stretch right up, right as we load in, because I need to stretch. Okay, here we go. This is it. This is where it all ends. The finale of this qualifying match. We have gone the distance here all the way to game number 5, to the ace match. But there's no more from here. One way or another, we will be crowning a qualified player, and the other will have to try again tomorrow for a second chance. As spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the Polish Zerg player, the red Zerg for Platinum Esports. It is Aristori. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the blue Protoss player for Land of France, representing Red Pack Esports. It is Rum. Let's go. It all ends here. Now, Ghost River, all these maps have their own new features, of course, but this one is, it is the shortest rush distance map in the map pool, shorter than Hard Lead in the previous map pool as well. It's like one screen. It's like one screen here from natural to natural. A very short rush distance. Likewise, you can mine through these middle patches to make the rush distance even shorter, or even knock down these rocks to open things up. As Aristori is forced to take the unnatural natural. Ooh, a bold base to be taken here. Meanwhile, Rum opening up Gate Expand. We're getting into our initial openers. Let's go. Interesting that we didn't have like a 12 pool or like any kind of early pool or early gas timing. Everything looking pretty above board here from Aristori, so far at least. Everything is looking above board. Now, what's interesting about this map is that, yes, very short rush distance by ground, but it's also very defendable. So it's a double-edged sword here when it comes if you want to be aggressive. What I mean by that is that these two ramps, whether it's this ramp here, or even this ramp here leading in towards that third base location, the first two are very narrow. Very, very narrow choke points here. It's very difficult to actually push up these ramps, especially because you can have the concave, you can have that defenders and high ground advantage. Same can be said here outside this third base. Yes, there are multiple ramps to get up here onto this point of elevation, but really you just have to control this area and you can deter any kind of move out here from your opponent. So even though the bases are very close to each other, even though the rush distance is very short, once you can settle into the mid game, it can be very difficult to actually move out and actually end the game without your opponent being more than ready for you. It's been difficult. Oh, meanwhile, the Lings, they do actually bust in. They get us around on the pylon. The boys are being pulled. Probes are going down. This is becoming too much. 4 or 5 workers do fall. We get to take the 7th probe as well. Oh my god, a surprising amount of damage done here. Again, the Adept gets caught out on the map, out of position. And Aristori doing so well for himself. Of course, behind this Aristori, he's not making a second army. He's been droning this entire time. Making a couple of lings here and there, sure, but has been mainly droning. And how do we follow this up? Would you have a second and a third gateway on the way? I imagine we're just going to be taking our third base and throwing down some tech, but keep an eye on Rum. See what he wants to go for. Oracle threatens that natural. Hit in between the bases. Does come across the third base. Queens. Oh, they are a bit out of position. Oh, but that's a snipe. That's a kill. That is a kill on the Oracle. And just like that, 4 drone kills. Not worth losing an entire Oracle. Now we can threaten to move out. Behind this, Roach Horn now on the way. 5-minute Roach Horn timing, very standard Roach Horn here from Aristori. Lair is on the way as well. Just now starting up. And again, this tells us that Aristori plans on saturating his third and maybe even getting a fourth base. Looking towards a longer setup. Meanwhile, we do see Rom instead back at home investing into his own Robo, his own Twilight Council, his own third base. I think, again, the game is going to be settling from here. Now, something that's interesting is that there's no Forge. No Forge. Interesting. I'm curious if we're planning to go for something like Charge or like Glaives as a follow-up. Oracle gets in. Gets a couple of drones. Lings are going to be deterred by some of the Oracles. And yep, there it is. We have our answer. It is indeed Charge instead, not Blink. Oh, no, then we changed our mind. It is Blink instead, not Charge. But I'm still a little bit perplexed. I'm still a little bit confused as to why Rom did not throw down a Forge. Still no Forge, still no upgrades. The Bay is on the way instead. Okay. We get some answers here. Bays are going to be on the way. That is going to be for Colossus production. Meanwhile, I believe Aristori has yet to confirm this. Yeah, he has yet to really get confirmation on the main. As Rum is moving out. Just with a handful of units, like Rum isn't going to be committing, he's just posturing here. Behind this Ling Roach Ravager is going to be the composition from Rum. Unlike the previous games, there's no smiles. There's no like rushing into earlier into other kind of tech. Whether it's Hydras, whether it's Lurkers. As Lings now do threaten, they get eyes on the would-be fourth. They do delay it. Now, finally, we do get Forges on the way. That's going to be for those upgrades to Archives as well. Going to be for Storm. We do see Aristori. It looks like he does want to commit. Creep is spreading. Again, we did take note earlier that we have not teched up into Hydras. We've not teched up into an Infestation Pit. We're just maxing out on Ling Roach Ravager once again. Aristori pulling the trigger. Is all in. Pom does have a higher worker count. That doesn't matter. Not when you're facing down an army of Roach Ravager. Aristori just trying to force the issue here. And he is getting on top of the army. The Stalkers are crumbling. The Adepts as well. This Colossus putting in a lot of work, but it goes down. The Disruptor has arrived, but it gets targeted as well. And it looks like Rom, he's once again just not quite ready for this push. 2 games in a row. Aristori, he cuts workers earlier on. Maxes out with Roach Ravager. Pulls the trigger. And Rom cannot deal with it. We're trying to have the overcharge. We're trying to keep and maintain our army. But there's only so much that overcharge can do. And there it is. GG gets called. Aristori, he bounces back in this series. I was so concerned a couple of games ago, especially when our Protoss player was popping off. But Aristori does take it in the end, 5-2. Went to the ace match and will be qualifying for the closed qualifier. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to... Chama, papi, chama. Fala, galera, papi. Congratulations here to Aristori for taking the series in the end. Oh, it was a very back and forth. Very much so a back and forth series there. A rollercoaster ride of emotions, and in the end, Aristori was able to come out on top. GG, very well done, very well played. Meanwhile, I believe the rest of the bracket has been progressing, and I believe it's already done. Let's double check. From the top. From the very top here, we have our first 2 qualified players. Strange took down Hydra 3-0. Strange has qualified for the closed qualifier. Scrolling down, we do have Nikic taking down UED Soldier 3-0 as well. Big shout out there to Nikic for claiming that series, for advancing on. So that is going to be the Zerg player from Belarus. Scrolling down a little bit further, we have Fiant versus Hate Me. They are the only series left. They are mid-series. And did I say mid-series? Because it looks like they just came out of game. But Fiant versus Hate Me, they I think still have yet to be reported. Scrolling down, Rodzin takes down Extra Striker 3-1. Congratulations to Rodzin, Polish Protoss player. Scrolling down, Uwu Thermal versus Bubas. Thermal did make it through, did qualify. And of course, we have Aristori qualifying over Rom, Middle VK qualifying over Art, and Mixu qualifying over Stockstar. Again, the only series that we're waiting for, the only series we're waiting on is Fiant versus Hate Me. I say that, but Fiant has had a game, so I'm not so sure. Not so certain. But yeah, with that, technically I could try to wait and jump into Fiant versus Hate Me, but I think we are going to be done for the night. I do apologize for constantly muting. I don't know if you noticed, but I was constantly muting throughout the broadcast here. I've been very under the weather for the past almost 2 weeks. It's been almost 2 weeks that I've been sick. I don't know. I mean, I don't know when I'm gonna recover. Hopefully, not too long from now. Oh, we got an update. Hey me, he 3-0'd Fiant. That wraps up our European qualifier. Congratulations to Hey me for the 3-0 over Fiant. My condolences to Fiant, but again, they can try again tomorrow. But yeah, basically, I came back to Australia a couple of weeks ago, and at the end of March, basically, at the very end of March, I came back to Australia. And right after I came back from Australia, I got sick. I think I got the flu on the flight over, maybe. That's my theory, at least. I think I got like a variation of COVID or something on the flight over. And that first day, I had like a heavy fever and I had like muscle pains everywhere. And it only lasted a day. I was fine afterwards. But ever since then, for the past like week and a half, I've just been non-stop coughing. Like it's been brutal, Bob. It's been brutal. I've been barely able to sleep because I'm like waking up in the middle of the night, like just coughing, and even like having a hard time sleeping because I'm just constantly coughing. Yeah, even here for the broadcast, I'm constantly muting because I'm coughing and stuff. So hopefully we can get better. I would usually love to cast the Americas qualifier, which is in a couple of hours. I think it's like in 2 hours time. But I think I should stop. I think I should just calm down for now. I want to cast the Asia qualifier tomorrow. So I think I'm just gonna be taking a break. I'm gonna just get some rest. I'll be back for the Asia qualifier tomorrow and maybe the European qualifier as well. I'm very torn because every season for the past couple of years here on the CranKy Ducklings, we've casted every single region. We cast Asia, we cast China and Taiwan when they were a region. We cast Americas, we cast EU. I very rarely get sick. That's why we take so little time off. But this flight ruined me, and for the first time in a long time, I'm like proper sick, and it feels bad, man. It feels bad. Like on the one hand, I understand I have to get better, but you know, it's breaking the tradition. It's breaking our CranKy Duckling tradition of casting all the regions. Smurge, baby, smurge. So yeah, I think I gotta tap out for today. I think I gotta tap out. I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of broadcasts covering the Americas region. I'm sure, you know, Steadfast, Behemoth, Chicken Man, Dave Testa, maybe Rotterdam. I'm sure there is going to be some coverage of the Americas qualifier. Usually we would cast it, and I would love to cast it, but I think I should be getting some rest here. So So yeah, I wish all the players in the Americas region the best of luck. Wish them all the best from the Americas and from Latin America as well. Wish them the best. Otherwise, I'm gonna be going in and just gonna get some rest. I'll do my best, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Asia qualifier. Regardless of what happens, Asia qualifier, we'll be there. We'll cast it, bring it to you live. Otherwise, I'm gonna be heading off here for the night. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the support. Again, as a reminder, in 2 hours there should be the Americas qualifier, so keep an eye out for that. Again, a lot of amazing matches. I do apologize for my casting as well, like, again, because I'm under the weather. It was pretty low energy, and my, like, I just had like fog over my mind, so like I was having a hard time concentrating. So I apologize, and it'll be getting better, I'm sure, in a couple of days. We'll be getting better. It's all good, it's all good. Otherwise, thanks so much. Until then, hasta luego, papi, hasta luego. See you guys tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Take care. Ciao. Ciao, papi, ciao.